Wish I was seeing you guys. That's a disadvantage here. I'm Monica Weekly, your host for all of your Espresso added value mastery webinars, which the good people at Espresso Agent are always so awesome about taking the time to find talent like Coach James and bring them to you and give you a few nuggets to take back to your business so that you can continue to succeed and grow and earn the kind of income you're looking to earn. So Coach James, I don't know if you can hear me. Are you? There he is.
I'm here.
There he is. All right.
How's everybody doing?
I'm going to take a second, just give you a little brief introduction, do some housekeeping items, then I'm going to turn it over to you. So for those of you guys that have been on these calls before, you know that we keep everybody muted, and that's for your own benefit, so we don't hear a lot of background noise. But we do want you to participate, and we do want you to connect here with us. So at the bottom of your screen, you should see a chat bar or a Q&A. You can use either of those. If you'd like, just use chat. That's easier. I'll just monitor one of them. Put your questions in, put your comments in, share. We'll do as much of interacting your questions like at the right time as possible, but worst case scenario, we'll come to back to them at the end. Make sure we get all your questions answered, okay? I think that's it, enough to get started. So we are super lucky to have Coach James Houghtaling. Is that right?
Hey, you got it.
All right, Houghtaling.
That's it. You're the third person this week that got it right.
Awesome. I think that's good. That's good for you. But I think it's easier just to go by Coach James. I think we'll call you. So Coach James has been mastering his coaching craft for a long time. He's run his own coaching business. He's worked for the Mike Ferry organization. He got into business down in Florida, and in his first year, by following just systems and actually just not kind of questioning any of these things that were already working for a lot of people, he sold, I think, 45 homes in your first year. Is that right, James?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
That's very impressive for your first year. And I'm guessing there are some people on the call, even in their second and third year, that would still like to be doing 45 deals. So I know we got a lot to learn from you today. Coach James' coaching style is really one of sort of simplification and truth, and really not overcomplicating things, which I love that approach too. I think we all try to overcomplicate a lot in our lives. So
that's right.
Just the real simplified, sort of boiled down to the actions kind of coaching. And I know that we'll learn a lot from you on objection handling, probably in that same vein today. And just so everybody can kind of connect with you personally, James has family, as a wife, and 3 teenage children. Oh. 2 of which are twin boys who are trying to be rock and roll stars and are really taking action around that, right?
They are. They are.
That's super cool.
Shameless promotion. Check them out on Facebook.
You make sure we do that, because we would love to support you and your kids' fantasies. I love it. I love it. He says he has the best job in the world, which is great that you're in that space. I love that. And you have cats, rabbit, and recent water frogs, I hear. So
yeah, we can thank my daughter for that. But
quite a menagerie.
That's okay. We welcome all walks of life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we're going to talk about some objection handlers and take any questions. We're just going to have a good, 30, 45 minutes and then some questions.
Yeah. Cool. That's right. Good. And, Monica, if you want to stop along the way, you want to jump in with a question, or if there's some comments and stuff, just feel free to kind of put the brakes on, and we'll take them as they come if that works for you guys.
Perfect. We'll do it.
Okay. All right, good. So is that it? We're all ready to go?
Yeah, take it away.
Awesome. Okay, good. Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Monica, and all the guys and gals there at Espresso Agent. I really appreciate this opportunity to just be here with you guys and share some of the things that I have learned over the years. And I tell my clients all the time that I learn more from them than I ever could have learned on my own. So I owe a lot of where I am today because I've had so many great agents to work with over the years. So hopefully a lot of you are out there today listening. We're going to talk about objection handling. And it's actually probably one of my favorite topics to talk about and role play and work on with agents. Part of the reason for that, I think, is because so many agents seem to have a fear of getting objections. That's one of the one of the things I like to try to help them overcome is to realize that you don't have to be afraid of what somebody might say to you. I remember about 5 or 6 years ago, I was coaching this lady, and we had been working on her expired script for several weeks, and we were doing some role playing. And I asked her, I said, so, after really working at this for a couple of weeks, what are your thoughts? And she said, well, the problem is they don't stay on script, right? So she has her little script of questions, but the people never seem to answer back the way she wants them to. So I think that just kind of encapsulates a lot of people's feelings about prospecting and handling objections. But if you guys are taking notes, one of the things I want you to write down or make a note about is, I think one of the challenges we have is defining what an objection really is, okay? Because typically when we start to engage somebody in a real estate conversation, you're gonna get one of 3 responses, okay? You're gonna get either a comment, you're gonna get an objection, or you might just simply get a condition, okay? And I think it's important that we understand that there are some things we don't have to respond to, okay? So let me give you an example. You're calling a for sale by owner, okay? And they say to you, hey, look, I just want to let you know right up front, we're not listing the property, but if you have a buyer, we'll give you 2%, okay? That's a very common comment that you will hear when you call for sale by owners. You don't have to deal with that right then, okay? You don't have to try to jump in, for example, and give them this great objection handler on why they should be willing to pay a full commission, okay? Sometimes, again, you'll get a condition. Okay, so you're calling somebody and they'll say to you, hey, look, my wife's best friend from high school is an agent. Okay, so if we do decide to do something, she will absolutely be the agent we use. Okay, and I know there's all kinds of ways you could try to deal with the other agent, right? But in a lot of cases, guys, what you're going to find is that you're dealing with an emotional condition, not a logical objection. Okay, so what we want to try to focus on today are the actual objections that you tend to get, and just a little formula, if you will, for how to deal with them, okay? So, like I said, I think for a lot of agents, they tend to freeze up, and to me, objection handling is more of a mindset issue than it really is even a skills issue, okay? So let me tell you what I mean by that. It's not gonna be that difficult to make a list of objections, okay, that you're going to get. In fact, I ask clients to do this all the time. I say, hey, look, let's make a list of every objection you can possibly think of, whether it's a prospecting objection, a follow-up objection, a closing objection, a listing objection. And we'll come up with a list, and we might have 10 or 12 that we think of that we hear on a regular basis. So let's be honest, guys. How long is it really going to take to memorize a series of words that you can use? Okay, the truth is it doesn't take that long if you're really committed, right? I mean, if you really go after it, you could spend 30 to 60 days and probably have a real solid handle on a great handler for every objection. The problem is up here in our thinking, okay? A lot of times, for example, with lead follow-up, the issue isn't calling them and knowing what to say. The issue is you can't get over thinking you're a pest, right? You can't get out of your head and stop thinking, oh my gosh, I'm probably bothering them. I'm probably harassing them. I don't want to be a pest. I don't want to be the typical pushy salesperson. When in reality, you're following up with them because they asked you to, right? You're there to do a job and offer a service. So it's kind of like you're really not doing your job if you don't call, okay? And that's an example of what I mean by mindset. We need to get out of our head and realize that most of the time, your job is just to go simply find the people in your marketplace who want to sell or buy property. And the fact that they don't have a need right now to do anything is not an objection, okay? It's just a condition, all right? So I hope that makes sense. I don't know if there are any questions or anything like that that are popping up already, but hopefully just these little opening comments sort of set the stage for what we're going to talk about today. I don't know, Monica, any thoughts on that?
I love that, James. I've never actually heard it worded that way, and I've been in a ton of training. So I really love what you're saying, because it gives us the ability to sort of not have to talk every time there's something thrown in the pot about why this might not work, right? And are you almost saying, don't respond to those, because in some cases you're going to blow it right there if you tried to, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. You got to learn to get a feel for when you're dealing with a real objection and when you're not. And when you can just simply acknowledge something and say, hey, that's a great point. The FSBO thing I mentioned. If they say that to you guys, if they say, look, I'll pay you 2%, but we're not listing it. hey, you know what? I thank you. I'm going to write that down right here and make a note of that. But, I did have a quick question. When you guys do actually get this home sold, are you guys staying here locally, or are you kind of looking to move out of the area? What are you hoping to do?
It's great. I love that. That's awesome.
So you don't have to just deflect it. All right. You don't have to deal with it and go into this whole thing about, oh, well, paying a full commission is going to benefit you, and don't do that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah. So let's look at a 4-step approach. Okay. Just a simple 4-step approach to handling objections. There's a little formula. And the good thing about this formula, guys, is there's only one part of the formula that changes based on the objection. Okay. The other 3 parts are all the same, regardless of what you're hearing from people. Okay. So again, if you're taking notes, the first step in the formula is that we need to validate or acknowledge what they've just said to you. Okay. So we need to validate or acknowledge what they've said. All right, and we'll run through some examples, and I'm hoping that you guys start sending objections in through Monica, because we want to kind of share with you some ways to handle them, specific objections. Okay, but let me just kind of go through the steps first. So again, step 1, you want to validate what they just said or acknowledge it. All right. Step 2 is you want to repackage so that you are clear about what they're saying and they know that you understand what they've said. Okay, now that doesn't mean you have to repeat it word for word necessarily. All right, I know there's a lot of training out there that says repeat it back word for word. You could do that, but I've never been a big fan of that, frankly. So just kind of repackage it. All right, so they say to you, look, you know what, we think we're going to hold off. We're probably going to wait till later in the year before we put the house on the market. Okay, great. I appreciate that. I hear that from a lot of people, quite frankly. So in other words, you guys are feeling like it might be in your best interest to just hold off a little bit. Is that kind of what I'm hearing? All right, see, that's an example. I didn't repeat back word for word. I just repackaged what they said to me. All right, so step 3, this is the one you want to put a star next to. Step 3 is the one that changes. This is the variable in the formula, and that is you need to ask a compelling question. All right, you need to ask a compelling question that's obviously related to the objection that they gave you. All right, so that's step 3. And then step 4 is you close. You go at that point after you've asked the question, you're working to lead them based on their answer to an open door that allows you now to ask for the appointment, okay, or ask for whatever it is you're asking for, okay? And here's the other part of this, guys. Closing, by definition, just means coming to an agreement, all right? I think a lot of agents, again, they get hung up on this idea of, oh, I don't want to be too pushy. I don't want to close too hard. I don't want to be too aggressive. I don't want to be the sleazy salesperson. But you got to remember, closing just means you're asking for an agreement. I was talking to a client of mine a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the fact that there's a couple of other agents in his marketplace who are very competitive with him, and he tends to run into them a lot when he's going after FSBOs and expires. And he was kind of mad one day because there was a particular for sale by owner that he had talked to a week or so prior, and he'd asked them a few questions, didn't really get as far as he would like to have gotten with them. And then a few days later, he noticed that they came on the market with this other agent. So he was, kind of venting to me on our coaching call. And I said, look, let's not forget something. The only reason that other agent got an appointment and the only reason they got a listing is because they asked for it. I said, did you ask them? Did you actually close? And, there was the usual, well, probably not as good as I could have. And I said, okay, then the good news is we can fix that. All right. So again, 4 steps. Validate what they say. Repackage what you've heard, the objection, right? Like make sure you know and they know that you're on the same page. You're in rapport. 3 is ask a compelling question. And number 4 is close. And guess what? A lot of times you're going to get another objection when you close and you got to start the cycle all over again. Okay. You guys have probably heard it said that most yeses or most sales, most contracts are signed after the 5th close. Okay. A high percentage of contracts get signed after you've asked 4 or 5 times. So you can't be afraid to do that. Okay. So does that make sense, guys? Everybody kind of with me on that as far as those 4 steps?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Very clear. Do you think,
okay.
Do you have a trick for pushing through the 5 no's? Did you used to do something that helped you remember not to give up?
It's funny you asked that. I don't know if this is what you're asking for, but I don't know, probably 15 years ago, I remember hearing for probably the first time about the 5 pennies. And that was where you have 5 pennies on your desk. So you're prospecting, right? You're standing up doing your thing. And every time you ask for the appointment, you slide a penny across, right across the desk. A couple of my clients and I changed that up a few years ago. We said, hey, let's have some fun with this. Let's get some $100 bills. Let's put them on the desk and get a little more excited about actually closing. Slide that $100 bill across 5 times.
Nice.
So that's an easy visual, you know, for anybody that wants one.
That's cool.
Is that kind of what?
It's good. Cool.
Yeah. Is that what you were asking for, Monica?
Yeah, I was just curious if you had any sort of ability to gamify
Yeah.
that, because I think that's one of the hardest things that we face when we're trying to come to an agreement or close on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's also the realization that, again, this goes back to your mindset. You have to believe in your heart that you really do have the solution they're looking for. I mean, you really have to believe that you can get the job done. And obviously we're closing because we assume there's motivation, okay? If there's no motivation, if there's no real true desire to sell or buy, then we shouldn't be trying to close anyway. But if you know that there's somebody there that you can help, you have to see yourself as the solution to their problem. So it's like you owe it to yourself, right? To make every effort you can to help them see that you can help them.
That's
so
great.
Hopefully that helps you.
That is. We did have a question, 5 closes. What do you explain, please? So can you dive deeper into what you mean by closing 5 times? Why are we doing it?
Okay. All right. So Monica, why don't we role play? And
Sure.
we'll just do a simple role play. You can be I don't know, for sale by owner, let's say. Okay.
Perfect.
So I've asked you a few questions, and I'm going to try to ask you for an appointment now. Okay.
Perfect.
So Monica, first of all, thanks for talking with me today. I appreciate that. You know, what I'd like to do, if it's okay, is I would just love the opportunity to sit down with you for maybe 15 or 20 minutes and just kind of share my plan with you as to how I can get your home sold. Could we do that tonight, say around 6, or do you think tomorrow would be better for you?
James, I appreciate it. Like I told you, we're really focused on kind of re-upping with the agent we're focused on using my sister if we're going to do that.
Okay, your sister. I understand. So I'm just curious. Would you guys say that your home is probably one of your more valuable assets? I mean, is that fair to assume?
It is.
Okay. So obviously, Monica, that makes this a pretty big decision, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's important.
Okay. In other words, we're talking about selling one of your most valuable assets. I mean, be honest, Monica, how much value would there be in just giving me 15 minutes to sit down with you, show you my plan, answer your questions? I mean, how much value would that at least bring to you and your husband?
Well, I just don't want to waste your time.
Oh, no, that's totally fine. Believe me, I have a lot of time that I devote to people just like you that are looking to sell their home. I've got plenty of time set aside for you. So again, 15 minutes, what have you got to lose?
My sister's friendship.
Okay. So your concern is that you're afraid she would be a little upset with you if you weren't to work with her. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
I am concerned about that, yes.
I get that. Believe me, I think my sister might be a little upset with me too if I didn't choose to do business with her. I'll tell you what if I reached out to your sister and said, hey, look, why don't we combine forces? You know, I sell a ton of property in the area. Obviously, you're involved as a family member. Why don't we co-list this thing and, you know, just see if she'd be open to maybe working together that way. Maybe we could help each other. Do you think that might be something she'd be open to?
I doubt it. I don't know.
You doubt it. Okay. Okay. Well, listen, I get that. So let me just be clear. Are you saying that there is absolutely 100% no chance in the world ever, even if you felt like I would have a better chance of getting the home sold and getting you more money? I mean, even if you believe that were true, Monica, are you still committed to listening with your sister?
No, I mean, I don't know. No.
I mean, it is about the money, right?
Yeah, it always is about the money. But
okay.
I don't know if you can do anything she can't do.
Yeah, and obviously the only way I could show you that would be to meet with you, right?
That's true.
Okay, so here's all I'm asking. Again, 15, maybe 20 minutes, depending on how many questions you have. At the end of the meeting, here's the best news of all. If you still believe that you owe it to your sister and that she is absolutely your best option for getting the home sold and getting top dollar, you know what? Go ahead and list with her. But at least you can do that with even more peace of mind, Monica, because you'll have done your homework. Am I right?
That's true. Okay.
Okay. All right. So here's, why don't we say 7 o'clock tomorrow? I'll be, there with market analysis. I'll show you my marketing plan. You can answer or ask me any questions, and we'll take it from there. Fair enough?
Sounds good.
Okay. Now, that was, I don't know how many closes, Monica. That was at least 5.
5 or 6, yeah.
Right?
Good.
Okay. Now, here's the deal. A lot of agents say to me, well, you know, that always works so well in a role play. The truth is, guys, your role play should be your toughest call of the day. Okay. I mean, when you go at this with your role play partners, you should be tough on each other. You should not give in easily. You should be forced to close 5, 6 times. Because if you can deal with that in a role play and then transfer that skill that you're developing and that tenacity to the real world, most of the time you're not even going to have to close quite that often.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So think about that, man. Your role play should be the toughest call of your day. All right. So I don't know. Hopefully that helps explain for whoever it was that was asking about the 5 closings.
Yeah, I think that does help. Do you think that how do you convey your tenacity there that you were showing through that to how that would work for them if you were in business with them? When do you take that opportunity to say, or do you, you know, if I'll fight this hard just to get in to see you, what do you do on your behalf?
Yeah, that's a great comment. You know, to sometimes if you're sitting with somebody, you've got an appointment, right? Mm-hmm. And you pull up your record, your follow-up record, and you say, Mr. So, I'm just curious, do you have any idea how many times we've actually communicated with each other over the last couple months? Mm. And they, of course, have no clue. You say, look, I don't know if you realize it or not, but I've texted you 9 times. I've called you 6 times. I've left you 3 voicemail messages, and I've emailed you 14 times just in the last couple of months. So let me ask you a question. If I'm going to work this hard just to earn your business, how hard do you think I'm going to work to actually get your home sold so I can bring a paycheck home to my family?
Mm-hmm. Love that. Cool.
You know, so yeah, it's a great point.
Okay.
So, yeah. Any other quick questions about what we've covered so far? Or?
No, all good.
Okay. Okay, cool. So basically, like I said, I want you to think about formularizing. Remember, Monica said this at the beginning of the event today, that if you can just simplify your approach. So every time you hear an objection, you realize, okay, first thing I got to do is I just got to validate what they've said. That's all I got to do is acknowledge that they've said something, and not make them feel stupid for saying, right? So when you say to somebody, look, you know what, I totally appreciate that. I think I'd feel the exact same way you do if I were in your shoes. That's an example of validating what they've said. Then you repackage, okay? So you repeat back, hey, so just so I'm understanding you right, it sounds like what you're saying to me is blank. Is that right? And they say, yeah. Okay, so may I ask you a question? And then here's step 3. Here's your compelling question. And then based on their answer, you move in for the close to try to, obviously get the appointment or get the price reduction or get the listing signed or whatever it is you're doing at that point. All right. So again, handling objections doesn't have to be complicated. It really is just a matter of, and quite frankly, when I work with agents, I say, look, get these things up on your wall. You should have an objection portion of your prospecting space where you've got the objection and the compelling question, or maybe a couple of them right underneath every objection. So you're working on these in role play. They're right in front of you when you're on the phone, because the rest of the approach is going to be the same for every objection. All you got to know is, what question am I going to ask when I hear we're going to wait till next year? We're going to use the neighborhood specialist. I'm going to just try to sell it on my own. We don't want to pay 7% commission. Just have your questions right there, and it makes it so easy to deal with whatever they've said to you.
Cool.
Okay? Good. So I don't know, do we want to maybe go through and just talk about a few more specific objections? Has anybody out there got an objection that you've kind of been struggling with for a while, that you feel like it might be helpful just to get some ideas on how to handle it?
Yeah, somebody asked using a friend, which I think is sort of similar to the sister example that we just went through, and then also going to go back to the agent we used before on the expireds, which is, I think, a really common one.
Oh, very common. Yeah, absolutely. We're just going to relist with our previous agent.
Yeah.
Okay. So remember, validate. Hey, totally. I appreciate that. I can understand why you might feel that would be a great choice. So in other words, you guys are committed to reusing your last agent. Is that what I'm hearing? Yes. By the way, have you already signed the contract? Have you already renewed with them? Well, no, we're supposed to get together, next week to do that or whatever. Okay. So let me ask you a question. So here's number 3, right? Here's the compelling question. let me ask you a question, Mr. Seller. Would you say that your agent met all the expectations that you had for them the last time you listed the property?
No.
Okay, so obviously we're talking today because in part they just simply didn't get the home sold. Is that right?
That's true.
Okay, so I mean, I got to ask, why in the world would you automatically just jump right back into that situation without at least doing some homework to take a look at your options? I mean, doesn't that at least make sense?
Yeah, except I just don't know that it was their fault. I mean, you know, there were some things going on in the market, and that we were asking a lot for it and whatever.
Okay, so is that what they told you as to why it didn't sell?
I'm just guessing.
Okay, well, here's the thing. All I'm asking for is 15 minutes of your time, all right? And what I'd like to do is just share with you the exact plan that I would use if you were to consider hiring me. Because, Monica, I'm guessing if you are going to list your property, again, you want to know that the agent, whoever it is, has a great plan to get it marketed. Am I right?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I'd like to also show you exactly what's going on in the market, because you mentioned you thought the price might have been a little too high. Would you like to know exactly where we should position your home to sell for top dollar? Would that be important to you guys?
Yeah, I would. I mean, we've just already promised this person that we would relist, though. I don't know that I can go back on that.
Okay, so you've actually made that promise and that commitment to them. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What kind of a commitment did they make to you when they took your listing?
That they would get it sold. That's a good one.
Unfortunately, that didn't happen, though, did it?
That's true.
Okay. So again, this is about you guys getting the home sold and being able to move on to Dallas, right? You did say you need to be in Dallas in a few months. Am I right?
That's true. Yeah. Yep.
So I'm just curious, if you truly believed that by hiring me, you'd have A, a better chance of getting to Dallas, and B, arriving in Dallas with more money in your pocket, would you at least be willing to give me 15 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess as long as we do it before I need to sign that contract.
Okay, good. Well, I can be there in half an hour. Does that work for you?
Sure. Can we, James, can we go back, and I'm going to be just a little bit harder? Like, I'm going to be a little bit more irritated with you, because I think that's what a lot of agents are fearful of, is that what to say when there's irritation in the conversation, and do you still push through irritation, right? Because I'm just I'm giving objections, but I'm not hanging up on you, you know?
Yeah. You're not being a jerk, because a lot of people have no problem being a jerk. We get that.
That's right.
So you've got to accept, you know, I said to, was it you? I said this to about if you want to be a boxer, you know, I say this to clients all the time. I say this to clients all the time because they talk about this, like, oh my gosh, they're so mean and they hang up on you and this and that and the other. And I said to them, well, look, you got to understand, you weren't drafted into real estate. I mean, you chose to be in real estate, okay? So you got to understand that part of the job of being in real estate is having to deal with people and their various personalities. I said, look, if you decided to be a boxer, you got to accept the fact that there's going to be some times where you actually get punched in the face. I mean, that's just a part of being a boxer. So you can't be like surprised by that. Oh, I didn't know that was what this was all about. Well, what did you think was going to happen? You know? So yeah, you are going to have to learn how to deal with resistance and a high level of, like you said, irritation in some cases.
Mm-hmm. That's true. All right, on our next role play, I'll be a little bit more jerky.
Okay, that's cool. So, you know, again, here's what I want you guys to kind of look for. The compelling question. The question I asked you was, well, I phrased it more like, did your agent meet all the expectations you had for them when you first listed the property? Okay. Now, if they say no, that's kind of easy, right? You can easily segue in and say, well, geez, you know, I'm just curious. Why would you just so quickly jump right back into that situation without at least doing a little homework on your part? And that's all I'm asking for. Mm-hmm. If they say, yeah, we think they did a great job, we were happy with them. Okay, well, that's interesting. Unfortunately, though, the home didn't sell, did it? Right? And so, hey, they met all their expectations. They did everything you thought they were going to do, and it still didn't get the job done. So, geez, it sounds like you might need to take a look at a different opinion. How much value would there be in just spending 15 or 20 minutes with me to take a look at a different approach? So that's either great. Way, guys, you know what I mean? Like they open themselves up for the close no matter what answer they give you.
Yeah, that's neat. Do you do that on every potential objection? Figure out the both sides of it and what to say?
Sometimes by accident, but not always. I think sometimes it does work out that way based on the question you ask them.
Right, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That's really the key to this whole thing, is learning how to sell by asking questions. You know, objection handling isn't trying to rationalize them to death. It's helping them answer questions that lead them on their own to seeing the value in meeting with you. And by the way, that's all you're asking for. You're not, you know, you're not saying, hey, look, I'm expecting you to sign right now. You're saying, look, give me 15 or 20 minutes at the end of our meeting. If you still think that you're better off going with your other agent, if you still think you're better off trying it on your own, if you still think you're better off waiting until next year, fine, no big deal. But you know, that's what I call that the takeaway. That's the takeaway portion of the close, is you make it so easy for them to meet with you by saying, you're under no obligation. If it doesn't make sense, fine, we don't work together.
That's awesome. We do have a couple other questions here. How do you deal with sellers asking to lower your commissions prior to the appointment?
Okay, good. Good question. So basically, that can happen a lot of ways, I suppose. But you're on the phone, maybe you're trying to set the appointment, you're pre-qualifying, and they just hit you with the question, well, will you list for a lower rate or something? Is that kind of how that might go?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go with this guy because he'll do it for 2%. So
2%? Gosh, you're kidding. Okay. So may I ask you a question, Mr. Seller?
Sure.
Okay. I'm just curious. Now, be honest with me. How many times in life have you actually found that the cheapest option provided the highest value? I mean, be honest. How often does that really happen in life?
Well, I think this is different. I think, you know, there's only so much to do if I put in the house in the MLS and putting a sign in the yard. And I think 3% is way too much for that.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So in other words, it sounds like what you're saying is you feel like every agent's going to do basically the exact same thing anyway. So why pay 6 when I can pay 2? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Well, for my house, because I know it's going to sell very quickly. It's not going to take long.
Okay, good. You know, the reality is selling the home isn't the hard part of today's market. Can I tell you what the hardest part of today's market is?
Sure.
Making sure you net the most amount of money and making sure it actually closes. Has anybody shared with you the percentage that the average agent is actually getting for their clients in today's market? Has anybody shared that with you?
I don't think so.
Okay, so in other words, if I told you that the average agent right now today in our market is getting about 96.3% of asking price for their seller, what would you think about that?
That's probably what I would have guessed it to be.
Okay, and you know what? If you got 96 in school on a test, you'd feel pretty good, wouldn't you?
An A+, yeah.
As your place, but watch. My sellers, because of the approach that I take, the things that I do, my sellers are actually enjoying 99.6% of their asking price on average. So I'm just curious. If you had a chance to net 3% more money in your pocket, would you like to pursue that option?
Yeah. Well, I think that my house will probably just sell for asking because, again, I think it's
possible.
You know,
it's possible. What if we could sell it for over asking? Would you be interested in that?
Sure.
Okay. So again, here's all I'm asking. Give me 15 minutes, maybe 20, depending on how many questions you have. I'm going to share my plan with you, answer all your questions, get you up to date on where the market is. And at the end of our meeting, Monica, if you still believe that you're better off going with this other guy because of his commission rate, fine, go ahead. But at least you can choose him with even more confidence because you'll have done your homework, right? You'll have looked at your options. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you're not listening to me. I'm really not interested.
You're not interested in making sure your home sells for the most amount of money? Is that what you mean? Or what do you mean you're not interested
in paying 3%?
Okay, so you're not interested in paying 3%. That's fine. How much do you want to pay?
I would like to pay nothing, but I know I have to pay something. So
you do have to pay something.
Yeah, so I think I'll go with the guy that'll do it for 2.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. As long as we can come to an agreement on commission, if that's really the only issue, in other words, if you know I can get the home sold, you know I can give you great service, I can get the home, get you the most amount of money, all we need to worry about is figuring out the commission rate that's going to make sense for both of us. Is that really all that's on the table at the moment?
You know what? I got to go. I know. I appreciate it.
That's okay. I just need 30 more seconds. Remember, Monica, this isn't about me. It's about you. This is about you selling and getting the most amount of money. That's why I'm calling. Believe me, I don't do this for fun. I do it to help people. So why don't you give me 15 or 20 minutes? Let's see if I can help you. And if I can't help you, you know what? We shake hands, we walk part ways, and I walk out the door.
Will
I mean,
you
you got 20
consider
minutes.
a reduced commission? Do you consider a reduced commission?
I'm sorry, ask me again.
Will you consider a reduced commission?
I would be willing to talk to you about that, absolutely. Are you willing to meet with me for 20 minutes and then we can talk about all these terms together?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. So what time should I be there tonight at 6?
6.
Okay.
That was good.
Okay.
All right. I
So
tried to be
sometimes you have to isolate, guys. I'm sorry, Monica, go ahead.
I tried to be a little bit jerky, but my high I doesn't let me because I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Well, here's the thing. Guys, let's get real clear about something. A, you're going to get hung up on a lot. B, you're going to have a lot of rude people who don't want to talk to you. And C, you're still going to live. Okay? It doesn't matter. You've got to be okay with getting punched in the face if you're going to win. Okay? You don't have to win them all. If you speak to 20 people a day and 16 of them yell at you, hang up on you, get upset with you, but 4 of them are willing to talk to you and answer your questions, have you won, yes or no?
Yeah. Yeah.
All day long. I would take that all day long. So quit being so focused on the ones that are rude and tough and obnoxious and focus on the ones that actually need your help. Because guys, guess what? One of the biggest indicators of a lack of motivation is somebody that just doesn't want to talk and hangs up and is rude. Somebody that truly wants what you have to offer or thinks they're at least willing to hear it, they're gonna kind of, you know, chill out a little bit and at least be willing to meet with you.
You know, I think you should marinate, everybody should marinate on that point a little bit because I think that is so brilliant. Take that negativity, that irritation as a real gift that they've just shown you that they do not have the motivation. Thank you for not getting me into that mess. That's such a great point.
I mean, seriously. But you know, that whole thing matters if it causes you to stop prospecting. That's when resistance and negativity, that's when it really matters if it causes you to withdraw. Mm-hmm. But if you see it as it's just part of the job, it's just part of the game, I have to deal with it every day.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
So I mean, hopefully that helps you guys.
Yeah. There's a question about, talk about the FSBO that just wants to stay on the market for a little bit. They're going to continue to try it on their own, which in today's market is really common as well.
It's everybody. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So Mr. FSBO, okay, I get that. So in other words, you want to give it a little bit more time on your own. Is that really what I'm hearing?
Yeah. We just, you know, I think we can sell it in about, we just do.
Truth is, you might be able to. I mean, it's a good market, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Okay. Okay, cool. So let me ask you a question. Because I talk to a lot of people just like you that are out there trying to sell their property on their own. And I've noticed a couple things. First of all, I've noticed that basically everybody's doing it because they want to put as much money in their pocket as possible. Is that fair to assume that's the case with you?
Yeah.
Okay. And the second thing I've noticed is basically everybody has a time frame, you know, as to how long they're going to try it. Some people tell me, we'll give it a couple weeks. Some people tell me they might try it for a month or two. How much time, honestly, are you really thinking you might give it before you might be open to working with me?
I mean, I just don't see us ever needing a realtor, but, you know, I guess we would kind of see where we are in a month.
In about a month or so. Okay, great. Now, I'm just curious, if you believed that by meeting with me and working together a little bit sooner, that you'd A, have a better chance of selling, and B, actually put more money in your pocket, would you at least be open to giving me 15 or 20 minutes to chat with you?
Now, how in the world could you put more money in my pocket if you were going to charge me an ungodly commission rate to put a sign in my yard and get it sold?
I was waiting for you to ask that because everybody asks that. That's a great question. And honestly, it's really something that we need to talk about in person, okay? Because you need to see how exactly I'm going to help you walk away with more money in your pocket. It's not something I can share with you over the phone. 15, 20 minutes. Can you give that to me just to kind of get some more information? And worst case scenario, Monica, at the end of the meeting, if it doesn't make sense, you know what? If you think you're better on your own, fine, no big deal. We'll just shake hands and go our separate ways. Fair enough?
Yeah, but you can just follow up with me. I don't want to meet until I'm ready to even consider that. So you can just follow up with me in a couple weeks.
Okay, absolutely, I can follow up with you. Should I follow up with you tomorrow, or do you think maybe on Tuesday would be a little better?
Maybe in a couple weeks.
Okay. Well, now see, guys, at this point, most of the time, you're going to have to follow up. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can keep pushing if you want. You can keep trying to close, but what's going to happen is, well, let's back up. For sale by owners, remember I talked to you earlier about mindset. I said to you that the biggest issue in objection handling is mindset. Guess what the biggest issue is in working for sale by owners?
What?
Go ahead, say it. Mindset. Okay? Mindset is the biggest issue with everything to do with this business. Okay? So here's the deal. You need to accept the fact, just like we talked about boxing. Okay? For sale by owners, the average for sale by owner. Okay? And I know this because I have worked with tons of agents who are really good at working for sale by owners. Okay? These are some of the best in terms of converting them. Their average time is 4 to 5 weeks from starting on their own to getting the listing appointment. Okay? That's just the way it works. All right? So you've got to be okay going into the process saying, you know what? I'm going to do everything I can to try to get an appointment today. But if I don't, I'm okay following up. I'm going to be the last person standing. All right? I'm going to outwork, out-follow up, out-persevere any other agents in the market.
Well, and with your definition of a close, I got the close there. You got the close there because you got the agreement that you could call me back.
I did. That's fine. And I'm okay with that. Like I said, as an agent, you know what? I'm fine putting a for sale by owner that I feel like there's motivation there. Put them in my database, and you're going to hear from me by either text, email. I may stop by your house. I may pop a postcard in the mail to you. Probably every 4 to 5 days. You're going to get something with my name on it so that you don't forget me. And when I follow up with you, I'm going to keep saying, so Monica, last time we spoke, I don't know if you remember this or not, but you said you were probably going to give it at least a few more weeks. I'm just curious, have you given any thought to the advantage of doing something a little sooner? No, we're good. We're going to give it a few more weeks. We don't think we need. Okay, no problem. So how many offers have you gotten so far? I'm just curious. Well, you know, we haven't gotten any. Okay. We're just going to converse a little bit. And if I got to call you back in another, week or so, I'm fine with that.
So James, if you see that online, let's say they've put their house on Trulia or Zillow or something, and their pictures are horrific. They're just dark and cockeyed. And do you go into any of those solution-based comments at all through this process?
You could, certainly, and that probably works better in person.
Okay.
So one of the things I try to get the agents I work with to do, when it makes sense, is to show up in person. Okay? We have so much now in today's world that is all done at a distance, digital. I mean, 15 years ago, I'd be standing in front of an audience, right, of 200 or 300, 400 people doing what we're doing right now. But everything today is done at a distance. So there is still a lot of value, and a lot of agents are finding success by going and just meeting the person face to face. Now, again, if they're 40 minutes away, you're not going to drive 40 minutes. But if they're 15 minutes from your office, go stop by the house, bring them a little information, shake their hand. Look, I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I just wanted to stop by and put a face with the name. I brought you some information that I thought you might find helpful. And you ask them a few more questions. Okay, and while you're there, yeah, you could say, look, I just wanted to share something with you. And you pull up on your iPad or your device. You say, look, this is your listing on Zillow or wherever they have it. And this is one of my most recent listings that I've put up. What are some of the things you notice that's different between these two? And you could certainly say, look, just as a little tip, you might consider improving your photos on the listing to help yourself out a little bit. So yeah, there's nothing wrong. I mean, you're not going to give them every solution under the sun, but you certainly could try to provide value.
Okay, awesome. Somebody would like to know if you offer coaching services and how to get more info on that. Of course, that's what that's his livelihood. So great question.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
How can
probably the easiest thing. Yeah, you can go to my website, coachjameshoughtaling.com. There's lots of information there. There's some videos there. There's a coaching evaluation form that you can fill out. If you want to bypass all that, just shoot me an email at coachjameshoughtaling@gmail.com, and be more than happy to set up a time to talk to you. No charge, no obligation. We'll just do a little mini coaching call so you can get a feel for how it works, get all the information, and yeah, whoever that is, I'd love the chance to talk to you.
Perfect. And I put it in the chat bar. I put his website, and then his Gmail is the same, Coach James Houghtaling at gmail.com, right?
Gmail.com, you got it.
All right, so guys, you can
absolutely.
And probably you can Google him, and I'm sure he'll pop up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What other tidbits do you have for us?
Well, I was going to say one other thing that, again, simple, right? I remember probably 15 years ago. I was doing a seminar, and it was a 2-day event. And halfway through the first day, I said to them, okay, guys, check it out. We're going to take a break for about 15 minutes. You can go, get a drink, use the bathroom, whatever. When you guys come back, we are actually, because you've been willing to sit here for the first 3 or 4 hours or whatever, we're actually going to reveal the magic pill in real estate. Okay, so who wants to see the magic pill? Everybody gets all excited, right? So go do your thing. When you come back, we're going to talk about that. So the staff and I would put these little boxes under everybody's chair, okay? And everybody came back. They sat down. We said, okay, under your chair is a little box, guys. Everybody, I want you to grab it, but don't open the box yet, because inside the box is the magic pill for real estate sales. How many of you guys are interested in knowing what it is? Okay, so everybody's excited and say, okay, open the box. And in the bottom of the box is a mirror. Okay, so there they are looking at themselves. And I said, guys, there is no magic pill. You're it. It's all about what you choose to do. And what I mean by that with regard to objection handling is this is a skill like juggling, hitting a golf ball, playing a guitar, anything else. This is a skill set. So how do you get good at playing the guitar?
Just play the guitar. Practice.
Just practice. How do you get good at juggling? How do you get good at anything? You practice. But see, this is one of those industries that always amaze me, because so many agents are not willing to put in the time it takes to get good. And look, I joke with clients all the time. Look, now that you've signed up for coaching, expect the visit tonight from the real estate fairy. She's going to come along and sprinkle this magic dust over you while you sleep tonight. And you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to be rock stars. Not the way it works. Okay. You have to invest in you. So honestly, for everybody that's watching this, if you took 30 minutes a day and committed to practicing just some of the stuff we talked about today, make a list of all the objections, come up with a compelling question. If you want to find out if it's a decent, compelling question, email me, coachjameshoughtaling@gmail.com. Hey, I was watching your webinar through Espresso Agent. I get this objection a lot. Here's the question I'm thinking of asking. What do you think? I'll get back to you. I'll let you know. But then practice it. Commit to owning that over the next 30, 60, 90 days. How long is it really going to take to be good at this? And if you're already doing 30 minutes, go to an hour a day. I mean, you talk to any professional out there, regardless of what it is they do, they spend, it's like a 10-to-1 ratio of practice to performing. But in real estate, it's like the other way around. So guys, we got to practice. You got to put in the time.
What do you
That's not a woo-hoo answer. That's just me telling you the way it is.
True. That's so telling the truth.
Yeah.
I know you probably coach lots of agents at all different levels. What's the most common sort of mindset issue that you help agents with, or that you think is the biggest stopper?
Going forward when it's tough to go forward. Meaning, again, you get constant, how do I say it? This is nothing but a numbers game, okay? Real estate is all about you just being willing to talk to enough people to find the ones who need your help. Along the way, there's going to be a lot of people who, A, don't want to do business with you, or B, they think they might want to do business with you, but then when you really dig in a little deeper, you realize, I don't want to do business with them. C, you actually start working together, and then you discover that they're not willing to do the things you've asked them to do, and so you can't really help them after all. Again, about 4 years ago, I was talking with a great client of mine, and it was around October. We were looking at his numbers, and we noticed that at that point in the year, he had closed 42 sales around October. And then we also discovered he had been speaking to 4,203 people up to that point in the year, okay? So we said, aha, 1 out of 100, okay? And at the end of the year, he closed right around 50 deals, spoken to about 5,000 people. So I started using that whenever I would talk to agents, and I said, let me ask you guys a question. The guy closed 50 deals, okay? He made about $250,000 in income. Do you think he's more concerned about the 4,950 people that he didn't get a paycheck from, or the 50 times he got paid last year? What do you guys think? Which one is he focusing on more?
Yeah, that's great.
So the biggest thing I try to help agents with is realize you're going to only win a tiny percentage of the time. If you define winning as getting a paycheck, Okay, you're going to talk to a lot of people, work a lot of hours, deal with a lot of negativity, put up with a lot of nonsense. But you know what? There's very few other industries in the world that you can work in and earn the kind of income that you can earn in real estate. So the question is it worth it? Is it worth it? Do you have goals that are meaningful enough that it's worth just pushing ahead, even on those days you don't feel like pushing ahead? So hopefully the answer is yes.
That's awesome. I love that idea of completely embracing the ratios and knowing that every no gets you closer to a yes. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you for the no.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. They've actually helped you.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So yeah, that's it. Because you know, at least once a year, probably a couple times a year, every client I have hits a wall, and they get frustrated. They get, you know, it's like, do I really want to keep doing this? Do I, you know, it's I've had this go on and that happened and now this happened, and it's just a part of it. It's, you know, deals fall apart. People don't like you. I mean, it's just, that's life. That's not just real estate. That's life. So take the opportunities that real estate has to offer.
That's great advice. What book are you reading right now, or have you read recently that you just loved and would like to share?
You know, I do. I don't read as much as I would like to have time to do, but I do. I love reading and learning and just trying to, you know, always be expanding, I guess. There's a great book called Influence by Robert Cialdini. The Art of Persuasion is really what the subtitle is.
Okay.
And that was just such a cool book. And it reminded me a little bit of a book by Dale Carnegie called Stand and Deliver. And it was talking about a lot of the psychology that goes on when you're communicating with people and ways to engage them so that you hopefully get to the outcome you're looking for. But those are a couple of books I've read recently that, for me and for what I do, just really spoke to me, and obviously had a lot of principles that I passed on to my clients too.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just couple of compliments. People loving your role play language and your point, I think, that you were making here at the end. Let me check this other place. Oh, let's see. Am I saying his name right? Or Intero Bakersfield says, "What's up, James?"
Is that my boys in Lee Barrison's team, maybe, huh?
All right. I'm not sure. What
good.
are the conversion rates? Somebody's asking, I guess maybe, what do you think? That guy had 100 to a 1. That's probably on the higher side of what I've heard, but certainly as long as you know the numbers, it doesn't matter, right? Is there an average?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's the key. So in fact, that guy the next year was down to 87. I was just talking with another one of my clients yesterday, on Wednesday, and for the year so far, he's at 1 out of 67
Nice.
paychecks. So it depends. I mean, again, it's a function of who the agent is, how experienced are they. There's a lot of factors, but that's the point. It doesn't matter what it is. Once you know, then you can say, okay, well, how do I improve it? Is it, my skills? Is it my mindset? Is it, changing my approach? And the answer is probably yes to all three. And that's where coaching comes in, is that ability to help an agent figure that out. Like, what do I need to change to get better?
That's true. And who you're talking to matters too. If you're talking to
Yes.
just FSBOs and expired, your ratio might likely be better than if you're just randomly talking to Sphere, right?
That's right. And that's a big challenge for a lot of agents today, because let's be honest, most markets are pretty strong still. There's not a lot of expireds out there. I mean, we've lost a big source in a lot of ways over the last few years that we would count on as right now business. So more and more agents are being forced to do colder prospecting because they have to. So yeah, that's going to affect your 100%.
That's true.
Yep.
Do you have clients doing circle prospecting, and do you have any tips around that?
So, yeah, tons of it. Tons of agents doing circle prospecting. Again, simple tip. Just again, play the numbers. Realize that you have to talk to a lot of them, and you don't want to. I mean, this is for me. Okay, I would rather just ask a couple of questions related to exactly what I want. There's lots and lots of circle. I mean, we could go online and we could find 20 different circle prospecting scripts. Okay, I want listings, so I'm going to ask questions directly related to listings. So, you know, I'm just, and I'm going to try to get them to open up, and maybe I'm going to try to imply that this isn't about me. It's about me trying to help people. So Mr. Seller or Mr. Homeowner, look, I was really calling with a quick favor to ask you today. We've got a lot of buyers right now we're trying to help to find a home, and unfortunately, there's just not a lot for sale. If you thought about it for a second, is there anyone at all you know of that's been talking about selling their home recently? Okay. And I'm not asking about them, right? The crosshairs aren't on them right out of the chute. It's on, do you know of anyone else? And then I circle back. What about you guys? Have you given any thought to moving in the next few months or so? And that's about it. I mean, yes, no, you're going to get a lot of no's, a lot of not interesteds. But for me, you're circle prospecting. What is it we all want? We want more listings. So direct your focus to asking for listings.
What you want. Okay. Can you just explain circle prospecting for those that might not be familiar with that term?
I'm sorry, explain what?
Circle prospecting for those that might not be familiar with the term.
Sure. Circle prospecting in its essence is you take a specific house that maybe you've just listed or you've just sold, and you're calling in a circle around it, or you're picking a neighborhood where you would like to have more listings. Maybe it's a hot neighborhood, there's a lot of turnover, good price point, and you're just calling up one street and down the other. Just calling a neighborhood basically with a specific script. Sometimes you can do that around expireds and FSBOs. That used to be called, and some people may still call it, and now I'm going to forget what they used to call it. Well, whatever it's called. You would have maybe a specific expired or for sale by owner. So you'd go to that person, you'd do your thing, and then you'd knock 5 or 10 doors on either side and a bunch of them across the street. Okay. Yeah. And there's lots of ways. Basically, it's just cold prospecting. That's what it is.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Let's see. One more thing here. I find that people are on that street are interested to know what it sold for and for how long. In my experience, I do a lot of just solds. So just we're interested in the data for the neighborhood. Yeah.
You can do that too. That's a very common. Just wanted to let you know, we're really excited. We just sold this property down the street from you. You may have already seen it. You know, are you familiar with that property? It's this. You give them a little data. Doing it live and in person though, guys, I'm telling you, if you get out to the doors, you're going to connect with people better. The deal with the doors is it's not as efficient. Okay, so you're trading two different things. You got effectiveness and efficiency. Doors are more effective, but they're not as efficient. Phones are more efficient, just not as effective. So balance it.
And thank goodness for Espresso Agent, the tool that brings it all right to your computer.
Yes.
Beauty.
You got it. In fact, I was going to say that at the end, that it doesn't matter how good you become at a certain skill if you don't have access to the people to talk to. And that is obviously one of the great things that you guys bring to the table is the ability to actually have people to talk to, and then the back end to manage them once you find the good ones, right?
That's true. That's true. Well, this has been a great hour. You have taken objection handling, which lots of people talk about all the time, and really, yes, simplified it down, but also just shifted some of the mindset on it for me, and I'm sure everybody on the call. So thank you. Really good stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I do. I mean, I say this to every group I talk to, and that is part of my goal is to not just show up and bring you information, but it's to try to encourage you to do something with it, because the phrase knowledge equals power has been around for a long time. And recently I've realized for me, that's not true. I mean, it is true, but it's knowledge that is implemented is the power. It's taking action. So you guys, your job is to say, okay, what is the one thing or the two things that I took away from the conversation today that I'm actually going to go do something with and implement into my business? That's where the power comes from.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. All right. All right. Good people on the call. Thanks for joining us. Coach James, thank you for your time. I know how valuable it is, and I think you're going to get a couple calls from some interested parties, so that's good too. Yeah.
I'd be welcome. So thank you again, Monica. Thank everybody. Jennifer, and Melissa, and Eden, and all the rest. I appreciate you guys giving me the chance to do this. And if you think down the road there might be another topic you'd like me to do, I'd be more than happy to. So
I know that. I know we will definitely be in touch with you on that. Okay. All right, guys. Everybody have a good weekend. See you next time.
Okay, guys. Bye-bye.